Our two candidates on this race are Clay Campbell from the Republican Party and Sarah Gallagher-Chami from the Democratic Party. And Clay Campbell is going to be our first speaker, so he will take 2 minutes for his opening remarks.
25 years ago, I was a private in the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment in Fort Bliss, Texas. I spent time out in the desert in West Texas preparing for war. Shot a lot of weapons off, did a lot of things that frankly scared me to death, and I always imagined how scary it must truly be to be shot at. But when my enlistment was up, I went to college, and the rest of my unit went to war. So you're looking at somebody tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that feels blessed and feels very fortunate to be standing here. And the only reason I'm standing here is because of the GI Bill. The taxpayers of the United States paid for my college and my law school here at Northern Illinois University. When I graduated from Northern back in 1991, like my hero Abraham Lincoln, I hung a shingle in Sycamore and decided I'd see if I could figure out how to do a trial. For the last 2 decades, ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing trials here in DeKalb County. Big trials, little trials, murder trials, speeding tickets. I've worked with the police, I've worked with families, I've been fortunate to be entrusted with the safety of my clients' interest when they come into the court system. I tonight offer my services to the County of DeKalb as your next state's attorney to use all my experience and all my trials to bear to ensure that the public is kept safe. I want to get out there into the communities of this county and put the word out to everybody that we're not going to tolerate gangs, we're not going to tolerate guns, and the safety of our children is the most important thing that we can accomplish. And if you elect me on November 2nd, 2010, my #1 priority is the safety of children.
And Sarah Gallagher-Chami.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and for those of you at home who are listening, Sue, also thank you for moderating. My name is Sarah Gallagher-Chami, and I want to be your state's attorney. I know this community. I will be the 5th generation of my family to raise my children here in DeKalb County. I'm a wife of a wonderful man who's here with me tonight, Gallagher-Chami, who was raised in DeKalb and is a product of DeKalb County schools. I am a mother of 2 wonderful children, a little biased, Michael and Nora. And I talk about them quite often because they are the reason I do what I do every day. They are the reason I continue to strive to be a prosecutor. Because as a mother, when I send my children out onto the streets, I want to protect them. And as your state's attorney, I want to protect this community. I'm also a career prosecutor. The day I was sworn in as a lawyer, I took the oath of office as an assistant state's attorney. When you take the oath of office to become a prosecutor, you vow not only to uphold the laws of the state of Illinois and the Constitution, but you vow to seek justice for every single person that walks into your courtroom. To stand strong for the victims, as I have done for my entire career, but also to seek justice, to do what is right for the defendants who appear in court. DeKalb County is a small community. We've held on to our small town values, but we're growing. And we need a prosecutor who has the experience to bring us into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, and you get to have the first question now. Does a candidate's experience as an attorney have an effect on the decisions which he may render as a judge? Does a candidate's experience as an attorney have an effect on the decisions which he may render as a judge?
I'm quite surprised that I'm receiving that question. I thought another couple candidates earlier in the evening may have received the question regarding experience in their ability to be a judge, correct? I would say yes, but it is what it comes down to is experience in my race as well, the race for the state's attorney's office. It's experience as a prosecutor. Many of you know through this past year what my experience is. I worked for the Kane County State's Attorney's Office. I worked for the Cook County Special Prosecutor's Office. I worked for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. My entire career, my entire life has been as a prosecutor, standing up for victims. Victims who many times could not stand up for themselves. See, in a murder case, you can't turn to your right and see a client standing there. You may have their family behind you, but you have to be the voice. You have to seek justice in that case. That is also true for issues of domestic violence, for children who have been abused, for child pornography, and for the elderly. So does experience play into my candidacy as a state's attorney, as a prosecutor? Absolutely. Does the different type of experience one has play into a role as a judge? Absolutely.
We are all the sum total of our experiences. My experience as a soldier, my experience as a father, my experience as a neighbor, my experience as a trial lawyer. Those are all experiences you bring to bear when you go to work, and it's no different from a plumber or an auto mechanic or somebody that builds houses. We all bring our experiences to the work that we do every day. When you're talking about experience in terms of being a state's attorney, I'm going to assume that that question was intended for the judicial candidates. When you're talking about experience that you would need to be the next state's attorney, the kind of experience you should be looking for as a citizen are people that have actually been in the streets of this county, have interacted with the police officers in this county, have appeared before all the judges in this county, have dealt with the bailiffs in the courthouse in this county, have dealt with the Ben Gordon Center in this county, or Youth Service Bureau in this county, or dealt with Sharon Holmes' office in this county, or I saw the Sheriff Roger Scott here tonight, dealt with Roger Scott and the countless number of outstanding deputies in his office. So when you come to work every day as state's attorney, all of that stuff comes with you. And when you sit down and try to figure out what you're going to do with a case, the only thing that you can really bring to bear is your own experience. I'm humble enough to know what I don't know. And the nice thing about practicing law in a rural county like DeKalb County is I can call on people like Sarah Chami. I can call on her father. I can call on Tom Doherty. I can ask Roger Scott. I can go to these people and say, hey, I got a situation here with a 20-year-old kid. I'm thinking about giving him a break on this particular case. Could you guys give me some insight into his family? Could you talk to me a little bit about his neighborhood? Can you tell me what we think we can do to get this kid on the right road? It's all of our experiences that come together in a justice system. Everybody in this room matters, and we're all dependent upon each other for the fair administration of justice.
Thank you. And you get to answer the next question first. Right? Do you support the courthouse expansion, and why? Or why not?
I don't support the courthouse expansion. In fact, I walked door to door and collected signatures to try to stop the courthouse expansion. And let me tell you why. Number one, the DeKalb County Courthouse is one of the most beautiful buildings in the state of Illinois. I think I've been to about 25 different courthouses around the state. None of them are as beautiful as ours. So it struck me as particularly sad if we decided to denigrate or desecrate this architectural jewel. And anybody that's been in that courthouse, if you haven't, go over there tomorrow and walk through the halls and see what kind of feeling you get when you're standing in there. I've had the privilege of trying cases there. It's like trying cases on a movie set. It's like trying cases in a historical building. So to me, for us to change that at all would be a travesty, and I think generations from here on out will look back at this day when we made the decision to expand it, and they'll look back with sadness. The second reason I'm opposed to the courthouse expansion is I don't believe we ought to take $15 million and borrow it in the middle of a terrible recession and then turn around to the taxpayer and say, we want to raise your real estate taxes 2.4%. This isn't the time to raise anybody's taxes. And if you are going to do anything, if you are going to go out and borrow millions of dollars, let's take that money you're going to borrow and let's put some cops on the street in DeKalb. Let's help our law enforcement combat the ongoing gang presence that we have here in this county. There was just a shooting over in Portland today. Would anybody have ever thought a week ago that you'd be reading today in the paper that there was a shooting in Portland? There's been 6 shootings in the city of DeKalb in 2010. If we're going to spend our taxpayers' money on something, let's help law enforcement get into the streets and get those streets safe, because we're setting ourselves up at some point for having a 10-year-old girl get shot like routinely occurs in Chicago, and then we'll all wonder why we didn't spend that $15 million on something other than a courthouse expansion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here tonight to seek your vote for election for my candidacy for state's attorney. So I don't want to confuse the issue. As the state's attorney, I don't get a vote on whether or not the courthouse is expanded. I grew up on the steps of that courthouse. I have great admiration for that building that I have been fortunate to practice in over the past year on a regular basis. But ladies and gentlemen, as the state's attorney of DeKalb County, it will be my duty to represent the elected officials and the decisions they make, whether I personally agree or disagree with those decisions. My professionalism, my integrity dictates that I must fulfill my duties as the state's attorney of DeKalb County. Now, would it be nice to have the state's attorney's office closer to the courtrooms for efficiency's sake, so that we can be there to run cases through quicker? We can deal with defendants who have multiple cases? Yes, but that decision is not mine. That decision has been made, and I will make sure that any decision going forward that my office is involved in will be done to the utmost degree of the law.